Good afternoon. Well, here I am. It is January 14th, 2025. It's just about 4 o'clock. I just got home from the hospital, from Elliott Hospital in Manchester, from having my distal bicep tendon surgery. I went in very early this morning. They had me there for 6 o'clock in the morning. For a 7:30 surgery. Turns out the damage was pretty extensive. They had to do more of a repair than they initially called for. He was hoping to make a single incision on the forearm and go up in there and pull the bicep down and reattach the tendon that ruptured. However, when he got in there, he found that the tendon had essentially exploded. If you can imagine a rope failing and how it would blow apart at either end and be frayed. That's pretty much what it looked like. So nothing was salvageable. So he cleaned all that off and he had to go with what's called an allograft. They used the Achilles tendon from a cadaver, and he sewed the calf portion of the tendon right onto the bicep, and then used obviously the tapered end to reattach to my arm. So what that means for me going forward, right away, that meant a much bigger incision. So instead of having a simple, as he described it, a linear incision up my forearm near the elbow, he had to make that incision, and then once he figured out what was going on, he cut across the elbow pit and then had to come up the forearm. So it's kind of an S like that up towards my bicep to create enough space to be able to work in there to do all of that repair work. So I have a much bigger incision to heal than I initially expected. He says that front loading, the recovery time is going to be a little slower in the sense of how quickly I can start rehabilitating the arm is going to come more slowly because of all that stitching onto the actual bicep muscle itself, as well as the trauma at the injury anchor point. So it's going to be a little slower, but he says the long run, the back end of the recovery is about the same. So I'm still looking at 10, 12 weeks. They didn't do a nerve block prior to going under anesthesia because he said he wanted me upon recovery to be able to check my radial nerve response. So I needed to be able to give him a thumbs up to make an okay sign, touch all my fingers with my right arm. And apparently that happened. They tell me he came in and he talked to me, and I did all those things successfully, but I don't remember that. So I must have been pretty woozy still. But upon regaining much more consciousness and awareness in recovery, the pain really did kick in pretty good, and it hurt a solid 7 or 8 out of 10, enough so that it caused sort of a nausea response, which they're not big fans of. So they tried giving me anti-nausea medicine, but it didn't really help all that much. The pain level was still pretty high. So I had already pre-signed a decision I could get a post-surgical nerve block. So the anesthesiologist came back in, which was actually kind of cool because you had to do the block in this nerve. I had to turn my head this way to stretch that nerve out and create that pocket for him. So I was actually looking at the ultrasound that he was using to maneuver. So I actually watched the needle go in through somewhere around my collarbone and kind of fish around blood vessels and things that he didn't want to get to the nerve. And then he injected the heavy grade lidocaine directly into there to block the nerve response. So right now I literally have zero pain whatsoever. However, what I do have is I have a meat hook attached to my body. I cannot feel my fingers, my hand, my forearm, my bicep or shoulder. It's might as well be somebody else's arm. Super bizarre feeling. Happy about no pain. Do not recommend this experience as the nerve block because it's very weird that I can't feel or hold, or I can't actuate my fingers in any way, shape, or form. So it's just dangling in this sling. Yeah, super bizarre feeling. Never had that before. But it's supposed to last 24 to 36 hours. At that point, somewhere along the lines, the feeling will come back. And of course, I have pain management medication, so we'll see if I still need that at that point, or if I'm doing fine, I can just go on Tylenol. I'm not a huge fan of the heavy duty pain medications. They often upset my stomach in the past. So once I can actually get in here to show what was done, I will do that, but I have to keep the dressing and everything on for 48 hours before I can take a shower. So glad I went in clean.